Thank you for tuning in to learn how to get your passport as a national. Um, a few rules before we get started. Please wait and hold your questions before until I finish going over this application and what to do, or until I prompt for questions. Um, so first things first, you need to have the application or the DS11 from the post office. Okay, do not use the one online because a very important part of this application requires that you have the DS11 from the post office. All right. So to fill this out, you're going to apply for both the U.S. passport booking card. So you're going to put an X there, both. You're going to apply for the regular book, the standard book. Um, and you're gonna ask for expedited services. That's an extra $60 or so at this time. Okay, and that's it. Now, when you're filling out this application, everything must be done in lowercase, in black ink only, as it says. Please print legibly using black ink only. So lowercase everything you're gonna be filling out on here is gonna be lowercase. You're gonna put number one, last name, first and middle, as it is listed. Date of birth, you're gonna put that. Whether you're a male or female, number three, you're gonna check that off or X that off. And then the place of birth, I was born in Brooklyn, New York. So I would put Brooklyn, New York, United States of America. I want to distinguish from the US. So I'm putting Brooklyn, New York, United States of America. You put your social here. You will enter your social on this application. It is okay to do that. Email address. All right. Number seven, you're going to put the telephone number. Um, Also, number eight, you're going to put in care of in your address. In care of, I like to spell it out. In care of address. Um, City, where I was born, Brooklyn, New York. Here they only leave you for the state, the abbreviation. So you will put the abbreviation for your state and put it in the four corners, these brackets that you see here. Zip code, all zeros. Do not write the number in. Put all zeros, put them in brackets as well. And then country, you're going to put your state and USA. It's not enough room to put United States of America. All right? Any names that you've used in number nine, that means legal name changes. For a woman who has got married and changed her name to a married name, she will put her maiden name here, or birth name if you changed your name legally and got a court order. No nicknames or street names, or some people call them spiritual names. All only legal name changes need to go here. All right, so you will stop and we'll go to page two. All right, name on application, last, first, middle, again, lowercase only. All right, date of birth, as it is written here. Number 10, put your father's name if you have that information first, then the mother. So you put your father's first and middle, and then the last name over here. Date of birth, place of birth. If he's born in New York, it'll be New York, United States of America. Write it out. Male, you X that out. And U.S. citizen, you will put no. So your mother, first and middle name, her last name at birth. What's on the birth certificate? What was her maiden name? You put that here. Date of birth. Oh, you would put here. If she's born, a place of birth, North Carolina, United States of America, So you would put that here. Whatever that, how that applies to you. And put her sex, female. U.S. citizen, no. Always put, when it comes to these U.S. citizen questions, you're always going to say no. All right. Full name of current spouse or most recent spouse. So if you are married, you put their first, middle, last here, date of birth, place of birth. If they're born in New York, you put New York, USA. Wherever they're born, you would make sure you put the USA at the end. U.S. citizen, of course not. Date of marriage, you put that down. Have you ever been widowed or divorced? You put yes or no if it applies. If you're widowed or divorced, you put the date it happened here. These are self-explanatory, so only you can answer those questions. 12, additional contact phone number. You can put the same number that you put on the first page if you want to, or an additional number and what type of phone it is, homework or cell. Occupation. Put your occupation here. Me, I like to put a religious occupation, so I will put ministerial servant, employer, church, or the name of your church, or you can say God, Jehovah, whatever you want to put here. But I like to use religious associations because the affidavit is done based on my religious instructions and beliefs. Height, number 15. 16 is hair color. 17, eye color. And your travel plans if you have any. All of this is self-explanatory. So you just fill that out as it is, but make sure everything's lowercase. Permanent address. You're going to put in care of, rural free delivery, the city that you live in, the state that you live in. Make sure you put the abbreviation in brackets, and the zip code would be all zeros. So you would type it as you see it here in lowercase. In care of, rural free delivery, and the city, the state, zip code. Make sure you put brackets here. Put brackets around all these zeros as well. Okay? Emergency contact, that's self-explanatory. The name of the person, their address, in care of their address. The city, the state, of course, put brackets around that and put brackets around the zeros. Put the phone number and how you relate to this person you're using as an emergency contact. Now, if you have a passport book or passport card, you will write the name it's issued in here. This is self-explanatory. Read it. The name has it issued here, the book number, and the date it was issued, even if it's expired, because it's going to ask you, do you have it? You're going to put submitting with application, stolen or lost, or in your possession if it's expired. If you have an unexpired passport, you must give it back in order to get a new one. Okay? I have an affidavit set up for people who have passports and they're returning them. So you have to let me know whether you have one or not. If you don't have one, you don't fill this out. If you never had a passport card, this doesn't apply. Leave it alone. All right. Let's go back to the oath. Remember, it says stop, continue to page 2. You're not going to sign any of this until you get in front of the agent. Okay? Now let's read. It says, I declare under penalty of perjury all of the following. 1, I am a citizen or non-citizen national of the United States and have not since acquiring U.S. citizenship or nationality performed any of the acts listed under acts and conditions on page 4 of the instructions of this application unless explanatory statement is attached. So what it's telling you here is you are a U.S. citizen or a U.S. national or a non-citizen national of the United States unless explanatory statements are attached and you have done something in the acts and conditions. This is what most people miss. So you don't touch any of this right now at all. You're only going to sign this in front of an agent when you're ready to process your passport. And then when you sign it, you're going to put all rights reserved without prejudice or just without prejudice there next to the signature. All right? All rights reserved without prejudice. Sign your name here. Do not let them scratch that out saying you can't do that. You have a right to do that. Okay? Now let's go to acts and conditions. Here's the reasons why I tell you must get the application from the post office, because this acts and conditions, if you have an application from the post office, you flip over the parent's information page, this will be directly on the back. So what do the acts and conditions say? It says, if any of the below mentioned acts and conditions have been performed by or applied to the applicant, the portion which applies should be lined out, and a supplementary explanatory statement under oath or affirmation by the applicant should be attached and made a part of this application. So what it's saying is you should line out what applies to you and submit a supplementary explanatory statement, which I will provide to you if you're doing this session with me. All right? So here's what you have to line out. Everything is right here on the screen for you to line out. So go ahead and start lining those out. Um, I'll leave this up here for a second while I read. You're going to line out, I have taken an oath, made an affirmation, formal declaration of allegiance to a foreign state. And then you're going to say, made a formal renunciation of nationality in the United States. What are you repudiating? What are you renunciating? Renunciate a United States citizen that they conferred upon you at birth by assumption and presumption. You never agreed to be any of those. Why? Because when people come here to this country, they got to take an oath to be a U.S. citizen. You never done any of those things. You never contracted in. You were born in one of the sovereign states, which is a country. Like me, I was born in New York, so I was born in the country of New York. That my birth certificate says New York. Okay, and I can only get a copy of my birth certificate from that country that I was born in. All right, so that's what you need to line out. If you want to, you can go back and read the whole thing. But you're lining out what applies. You're letting them know that you are a foreign state. You have foreign status. Okay? All right. Then furthermore, I have not been convicted of a federal or state drug offense or convicted of a sex tourism crime statute. And I am not the subject of an outstanding federal, state, or local warrant of arrest for a felony or criminal court order forbidding my departure from the United States. A subpoena received from the United States in a matter involving federal prosecution for or grand jury investigation of a felony. So if you don't have any of these issues, you line out all of this. Even people who are not applying as a national need to line this out, but they never read it, so they don't know it's here. Line that out. There's your line outs. So go ahead and line those out. That's very important. All right. And now, let's go back to the original page. How are you going to submit this? You're going to submit this form, this application with your explanatory statements and the GPO style manual, which indicates your country of birth. Okay, let me pull that up.
And that static are being sacrificed. And that's if your stuff's not available, they can't hear it. Sometimes you gotta feel your way through the dark, and I struggled all the way up into the minute. Peace, prosperity, and extreme wealth to all you guys.
This is Hindsight Radio. I represent it. The information station changing the nation.
Peace. What's up? It is Tuesday, Troop Tuesday, and today we're going to talk about generation skipping dynasty trust or family. There's another term for it as well. Trust that you can leave a substantial amount of money in it without it causing too much of a tax implication. So before I get into that, thank everyone. I'm thanking everyone for getting on the show today, and listening. I've been posting a lot of videos over the last few days. I posted some clips of the discharge stuff that doesn't work, improving it by way of showing how these people get treated in court. You know, they don't. People want to believe that they can get a house for free through writing money orders and just they don't. You know, and no matter how many times I tell them that stuff doesn't work, they still try it. But guess what? It keeps me in business because I have to help them get out of foreclosure. That's the crazy part. So if you want to mess with the discharge, go right ahead. You know, it's a free country. Go ahead and mess with it. And I'll be right here to help you get out of the problem. I'll be glad to help you. I'll be glad to charge you. So go ahead. It's interesting. All of the videos that I put up about it, people, oh, well, they didn't know how to talk about it right. Oh, the judge knows better. You know, you get all of these people who have their comments like they know what's happening. I'm gonna do a live or something eventually. And like, since you got something to say about it, prove what you're saying is right. Don't get on here talking about, oh, they didn't do it right, like you know better, but you ain't offering proof that you did it right. And it's just amazing how people come just selling wolf tickets, or they're just making claims that they can't prove. I've been off and on over the years. I've said, hey, I'm talking about discharge today. Somebody who's been successful, show me the proof. And I'm 100%. No one has ever showed me the proof. They'll send me a law. They'll send me a little email in the background because they don't want to come and face me on the show. Well, then I'll send an email. Where's the proof? And that ends the conversation. You see what I'm saying? And I show those videos to show you how you're gonna look if you go into court with that stuff. Those people are not by themselves. There's plenty of people that have come in there into the courts and tried that stuff, and it didn't pan out the way they wanted it to. Plenty. But I'm showing you some. I'm gonna keep showing y'all some more. There's plenty of it out there. There's so much content. I can go for months with it. I could show you more content where it doesn't work and never be able to show you a content where that stuff actually works. Never. But still people are drawn to it, and I understand. I was drawn to it at one time. We all go through our phase. And then I woke up to reality that these people who were trying to tell me that I could do all of this were broke as hell for the most part. And that's what you're going to get. So let's talk about generation skipping Dynasty Trust. If you're not a member, get on school and become a member. Let me see. I want to share the screen. Current application pages. Right, I want to. That's what I'm going to be talking about today. That's what we're talking about. But also, I wanted to leave the link to the school membership because that's going to be going up soon. That is going to be going up soon. Let me see if I can pull up school and put the link in the chat. So you better get in. Get in where you fit in. Oh, all right. That's the link. And another thing, I put up that whole process I was showing on the passport is on YouTube and on TikTok. But of course, that's the 2019 version of it, showing you how to do it. So it doesn't give you the new templates that I've created, the new process. But if you are astute enough, you can use that and still get your passport. Of course, the application is different now. They done created 2 applications since I've done that. So let's get into the generation skipping Dynasty Trust. Let's get into that. So what is it? It's a family skipping or generation skipping Dynasty Trust is basically a long-term irrevocable trust designed to, 1, skip one generation for tax purposes, usually the children, and provide for multiple generations of your family. Children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren, without having the trust assets repeatedly hit with estate tax or generation skipping transfer tax at each generation. So what happens, it skips the children and go on to the grandchildren, right? To avoid taxes. Here's the core idea in plain language. What is it? Generation skipping trust, a trust where the main beneficiaries are grandchildren or other skip persons, people at least 37 and a half years younger than the grantor. So there's your age. At least 37 and a half years younger than the grantor, so that assets bypass the children's taxable estates. Dynasty trust, a long duration generation skipping trust or GST trust that can, in favorable states, last for many generations, sometimes effectively forever, keeping assets inside the trust and outside each beneficiary's taxable estate as long as possible. So it's basically kind of what I've been showing you. You know, you put it in an irrevocable trust, and but this is where the beneficiaries are the grandchildren. Sometimes effectively forever, keeping assets inside the trust and outside each beneficiary's taxable estate as long as possible. Often, practitioners use GST trust and dynasty trust together because the dynasty trust is structured to fully use the GST exemption. So, future distributions can be made to grandkids, great grandkids, etc., with little or no additional transfer tax. How it works: grantor funds the trust with cash, investments, business interests, or life insurance. The grantor allocates estate, gift, GST tax exemptions to that transfer. In 2025, these combined exemptions or other 13.9999 million per person at the federal level. Once properly set up, only the initial transfer may face a state gift GST tax if it exceeds exemptions. So only the initial. Future growth on those assets can accumulate outside all beneficiaries' taxable estates. Assets are used for each generation's benefit, health, education, maintenance, support, etc. But title stays in the trust, not in the individual's name. So, key benefits: one, transfer tax efficiency across generations, avoids the tax, then tax again effect as wealth moves from you, children, grandchildren. With exemption properly allocated, a dynasty trust can avoid estate and GST tax on trust assets for multiple generations. Asset protection. Because the trust, not the beneficiary, owns the assets, they're usually shielded from creditors, lawsuits, and divorcing spouses, subject to state law and the trust terms. Control and family governance. You can set distribution standards, health, education, maintenance, support. Requires certain conditions or milestones. Appoint trustees and trust protectors to oversee administration and adapt to changing circumstances within what the trust and state law allow. Long term compounding. Because assets aren't repeatedly reduced by estate tax at each generations, more capital stays invested and compounds for the dynasty. Typical structure and practice. A common pattern simplified. Primary beneficiaries. Children can receive limited distributions for needs, but typically do not receive large outright inheritances that will pull assets into their estates. Grandchildren and further descendants, remainder, and long term beneficiaries, trustees, individuals, professional corporate trustees, or a mix, often with powers to invest, distribute, and manage tax reporting. Trust protector optional but common in advanced planning. Trust protectors are common when people have a lot of money at stake. Can remove, replace trustees, fix administrative issues, sometimes amend for tax law changes subject to the trust instrument. Jurisdiction choice. Many families choose states with favorable dynasty trust rules, long or no rule against perpetuities, strong asset protection law, and no state level estate inheritance tax. Drawbacks, trade offs, irrevocable. Once funded, you generally cannot pull assets back or rewrite the deal except via carefully drafted powers, decanting powers of appointment, trust protected changes, etc. So Again, you have to carefully draft these types of tech trusts to make sure that you word it carefully, because once it goes in, it's in. Administration costs and complexity. Annual tax filings, trustee fees, investment management, legal work to keep current with law changes. Income tax considerations. Trusts can hit higher income tax brackets quickly on retained income. No step up in basis at each generation, so capital gains can be larger if when assets are sold by the trust or beneficiaries. I'm sure there's other ways to prevent these large tax implications. So, but you just got to keep up on it. Study and understand how these things work so that you can minimize the tax implication uh, once the assets about to transfer. When a family skipping dynasty trust is usually considered most commonly when net worth may exceed or approach estate GST exemptions. And the goal is multi generational legacy planning, not just for taking care of children. And the family is comfortable with parking a block of assets in long term, irrevocable structure and paying for all ongoing administration to keep the structure healthy. So I can see this working out. You can set this up and it's set up to pay bills. So if you have assets that's generating income, these trusts can pay it for you. This way, and because of the nature of the trust, no one could come and take it from you or take it from your loved ones. As long as whoever you got as a trustee, trust protector is paying those bills for that trust. Just like anything else, bills need to be paid, you know? Bills need to be paid. So I just want to share that with you. That's something to look into, look in deeply. For all you big ballers out there. And I don't think you necessarily have to be a big baller in order to benefit from this. If you some people got, properties that they investments. You see? So there you have it on the Dynasty Trust, Family Skipping Trust. So what's going on in the chat? Let's see. We got Peace, Health, Wealth to All by Dot Lutzen in Iboldens has waving at everyone. Hello. His league said peace, power, and extreme wealth to all in the chat. What's up, Akeem? What's up back to you? I'm telling you peace, prosperity, and extreme wealth to all. Peace. Peace. Charles Bryan, peace again. Truzilla says, what's good? The judge was making him look crazy. Yes, on that video. Yes, he was being made to look crazy. And there's the link for school. There it is. I didn't have much else. I just wanted to talk about trust. And just in general, trust is good for protecting you from, you might run into financial problems where, IRS is coming after your assets. And if your stuff is in an irrevocable trust, they can't touch it. Now is the time to protect assets, not when you get problems. People tend to want to fix things after it's already a problem. Prepare for those problems. Okay? Prepare by setting up trust. Setting up your ministries. I can help y'all do that. All you got to do is go to my website, set up a consultation, and when you set up a consultation, I include the consultation price into the fees. And right now, my big project is working on helping people claim their indigenous status through their passport properly. All right. That's all I got for tonight. I'm not gonna keep y'all on. These shows are gonna be straight to the point, and I'm gonna be jumping off. I want to get some participation on calls. I'm gonna get back to doing that. Where I want to get back to just having conversations, y'all. But we need the support. We have it up there, the link, and no one calls in. Maybe because y'all don't have anything to say. I don't know, but we need to support that. All right. With that being said, I am out. Y'all have a good evening. 30 minutes. I'm done. But I've been posting a lot of content on all my channels, so go back, go check them out. All right. Peace.